And is star a little bit too broad of a word to use?
I would never have thought so until you guys brought it into question. Have you ever heard of Andy Grammer?
I did not until today, and I went down to our country cousins at YCD, and I asked them about Andy Grammer, and they were familiar with him.
See, I would think go to AMP, not YCD.
Well, the last thing he did hit the country charts, so that's why I went down there
right?
first to ask.
Okay.
As far as the rock stuff, don't know.
I'm the outlier here because I've heard of Andy Grammer.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I've heard of Aretha Franklin.
That one, yeah.
Why don't they just let Aretha do the halftime show? That makes more sense.
I didn't make this decision, okay? You're looking across at me like I hired Andy Grammer. And
how dare you, Doug? How dare you?
This wasn't my call.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Breaking news, Doug Karsch started a movement to get Andy Grammer a halftime show.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Nice job, Doug.
Good job, Doug.
You know what? I'd own that. If I had that kind of pull, I could get Andy Grammer.
If you had that kind of pull and Andy Grammer's the guy you get, really?
Well, that's all the pull I have, apparently.
I mean, listen, the reality is Kid Rock can only do it so many times, right?
Yes, you're right.
Well, look, if you're going to bring somebody back for halftime and Kid Rock's done it too many times, bring back Mariah Carey. Whoa, that went over like a
Well, no, I mean,
I'm trying to bring back somebody. My automatic thought is to go to like someone who's from Michigan or Detroit, and then so that's why I'm like,
well, why are we bringing anybody back? You get somebody new. We don't have to bring somebody back, and they got somebody new.
Well, I'm buying
somebody that I
She's
would
going
have
to
said.
cost money.
Here's the thing: I would have said that Andy Grammer was a big name, but apparently not.
I'm biased because I met Mariah Carey when she was down there a few years ago for Thanksgiving, so that was kind of fun.
How'd that go?
Went well.
Yeah, it went well. He said
it went well.
You guys friends now?
No.
Still,
you guys.
She was very nice and very lovely.
You guys on Instagram?
No.
All right.
No, sorry.
All right, Tony, thanks.
You got it.
Tony Ortiz from the Update Desk. You're shaking your head.
This whole Andy Grammer thing, I don't get it. I mean, seriously, I'm not that out of touch, all right? I go to bars, I listen to music all the time. You know, I love live music. I really enjoy it. When we go to the restroom here at the building, you never know what you're going to get music-wise.
It's like 4 radio stations.
Right, exactly. So either pipe in our sound or other station's sound, and one of them happens. Well, you heard Tony went over to talk to the people at YCD. Sometimes that's playing. I don't mind it. It's all fine. AMP plays in there, too. That's all well and good. Sometimes you're owning it. Just bring it. I like that.
I'm actually not embarrassed by this one at all. That I've heard.
Did you know
of
who
it.
Andy Grammer is?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should be embarrassed by it.
I know, but all these things are things that people treat me like I should be embarrassed by.
No. I'm not saying it. I've just never heard of the guy.
They'll give away candy corn.
Candy corn's fine.
See, I love candy corn. I got killed for taking candy corn in the candy draft.
Would you bar Krispy Kreme from selling donuts there?
See, I've never had a Krispy Kreme donut. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
It's the time you had one.
Probably is. Okay. The big news today is the growing discussion from the GM meetings, the Major League Baseball GM meetings, that the Tigers will entertain phone calls for virtually anyone. So much so that Al Avila, by the way, has called some of the critical names that he thought would be out there. Saw this in the Det News today. He reached out to Miguel Cabrera, Justin Verlander, Ian Kinsler, Justin Upton, and others to alert them that they'll be hearing their names in trade chatter. Just to say he doesn't want anybody to be surprised, which I think makes some sense. But anyway, one of the things that has come up is the Houston Astros have made it pretty clear that they would go after Miguel Cabrera. Here's Al Avila on the offseason plans.
We do need to do something different this year, and that is going to be some trades that need to be made. And saying that, coming into these meetings and into the wintertime, I really don't know where it's going to be heading to, but we're going to start changing the way we do business here. And it's not going to be a one-time process. It's going to probably take this winter. It might take a couple of years.
Okay, so trading Miggy doesn't sound all that great to a lot of fans, but there could be a reason they do it. We'll get to that coming up. Houston GM Jeffrey Luhnow was on the Major League Baseball Network with John Paul Morosi, and Morosi got he didn't use the name Miguel Cabrera, but was pretty specific about who they might be after. And if you listen to Luhnow, he doesn't deny it. He makes it sound like, yeah, that's something we're interested in.
Looking at first base, let's say a potential future Hall of Famer were available at that position. Could the Astros have that from a contractual standpoint, also from a prospect standpoint?
Well, I think the reality is, we need to add somebody to our lineup. We're losing a couple of good players through free agency, and we've got the wherewithal with the prospects and money to potentially add an impact piece. So we're certainly going to be looking at it.
It's certainly not a no.
No, that's not a no. And when you say things like we've got players to make that to make a move like that, then yes, of course it's in play. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. And Houston's got that package of players they could send to Detroit to make it worth the Tigers' while.
All right, MLB Network analyst Al Leiter, could this deal actually go down?
Listen, I think that it's interesting, and if I was a team that had a player like that, and you look at the Astros, they have 5 players in the top 100, according to .com or whoever does these evaluations and prospects. Why not? And if this is what they're looking to do, and they can add considerable payroll, being at 23rd, they missed out, disappointing year this past year after what they did 2 years ago, they're going to be open.
The 5 prospects in the top 100, I don't know that the Tigers would do this just for prospects. I would have to think that there'd be a major league ready player.
Up.
Yeah, and when you start talking about that's a deep organization, they've got some good players. It would have to be the kind of deal. Your first thought when we brought this up at 10 a.m. is it's got to be the kind of thing that makes Houston fans uncomfortable. The kind of thing where Houston fans go, "Ooh, we gave up all that," and they might not be willing to do that because they might say to the Tigers, look, we're taking this contract. We're taking $220 million of future salary off your hands. So we shouldn't have to give you a boatload of prospects, in which case the Tigers just simply say no.
Well, the other thing to think back to when the Tigers made the trade to acquire Miguel Cabrera is the Marlins made the Tigers take Dontrell Willis also.
Yep.
And Dontrell Willis was at the end of his career, basically, at that point. I mean, they figured out that he wasn't going to be useful for them. He really didn't help out the Tigers too much. And yet the Tigers, didn't they immediately sign him to an extension?
They did, yeah.
Which was crazy. But you start to wonder, okay, can the Tigers do something like that where not only would they end up trading Cabrera, but could they package that with, I don't know, you say Justin Upton? If a team really wants to make a splash and add payroll and players that are majorly capable, could they do that? Would that make it easier for Tiger fans to take, knowing that that salary would come off the books as well, and then next season the Tigers can participate, or even this offseason the Tigers can participate in free agency? What's
interesting is Lunau in that interview with John Palmarosi also said we're interested in getting a starting pitcher. Now, there's 2 contracts specifically I think the Tigers would be interested in moving that don't have as long-term ramifications in Pelfrey and Sanchez, as much as Upton. But I don't think Lunau's talking about getting a bad starting pitcher, and that's what it would feel like you're giving him. So, I don't know. 248-539-9797. We got more MLB analysts to hear from. All this sound courtesy of MLB.com. I'm more okay with this than you are. So I'll get into my reasons why. People ready to react. 248-539-9797. We'll get to your phone calls coming up and hear more from the folks at MLB Network. Hey, I got 3 kids at home, and they're young now, but I know that college is right around the corner.